Welcome to the Cashflow Academy podcast. I'm your host, Andy Tanner. This is where investing is made simple. I'm joined by Noah Davidson and Corey Halliday. The team is together, and we welcome you. Drop by yourinvestingclass.com for investing goodies and education at no charge. And with that, let's start our discussion. We're going to do the top 10 AI stocks according to AI. So we're going to ask AI what it thinks its best picks are. And then we're going to see if we can be as smarter than the artificial intelligence with our artificial humor, at least frequent attempts. But with that, real quick introductions. Noah?
My name is Noah Davidson. I occasionally like to argue and debate AI to see who's smarter. But other than that, I like to trade and invest, and I've been a student of the markets for the last 20 plus years, and I've had the opportunity to teach lots and lots of people how to trade and invest with more confidence.
There you go. Corey.
The problem with arguing with AI is it always responds. You can never get it to stop arguing. So,
I've got it. Well, it will respond. They'll never give you the silent treatment.
That's right.
Yeah.
I started in the markets a couple of decades ago. Love everything to do with the markets and love teaching. And I consider myself a student, like Andy always says, of investing, of trading. And we try to share as many of those details as we can with all of you.
All right. So with that, I'm Andy Tanner, investing, enthusiast.
Yeah.
I'm a student of the markets, written a couple of fun books that we've been fortunate to have do okay. And we run the Cashflow Academy together as a team, and we spend our time teaching people how to invest wisely. And today, we're going to talk about AI. So, AI, it's absolutely a thing. I mean, I remember way back, I think I was just right around the time I was first married. I had a nighttime job. I was struggling, trying to figure out what I was trying to do in school. So I went and got this nighttime job, and you guys are going to laugh at this because I can't even run my own phone anymore. But I used to do tech support for Source Internet Service of North America. It was the first ISP. It was a local ISP. AOL was like the big competitor, but people had these little local ISPs. And I got to tell you, I remember thinking everyone was doing e-commerce, and I thought, why don't people have personal pages? You know, like a personal page where you put pictures of your family up there and what you were doing. And there weren't any digital photography was just coming on, but they had scanners. And I thought, if my aunt lives in Michigan and my other, relative lives in Florida, you get your film developed, scan a picture. That doesn't cost anything. Upload it, and you have this nice little thing. So we had
you put your face in a book.
Yeah, and you put your face in a book online, and we called it familyparade.com. Me and Dennison did it.
Yeah.
And it started to take off. This is before Facebook and MySpace and any of that stuff. I didn't know what the term social media was. This is 1995, 6. People were still trying to figure out what email was. And I'm down in Phoenix, going to raise some capital to expand. And I've got 30 people in a room, and I'm pitching them on this thing. And this guy goes, why would I ever want to put a picture of myself or my family on the internet? And I was just like,
was wise.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, in hindsight.
No social footprint. But he had no idea,
right.
And so we shut it down and whatever. And we never would have gotten big because there were 1,000 of us like that, you know. And then the FANG trade comes out. So that's how I look at AI. It's a thing, right? It's absolutely a thing, just like the internet was a thing. But it feels very 1993.
Feels really .com-ish to me.
Yeah, it feels 1998, 1999 to me, in the excitement around it, where people aren't like in the 90s. People weren't bragging about earnings or what they've done. They were bragging about what their plans were.
Yeah.
And they didn't brag about how much money they made. They bragged about how much money they've raised. And if I heard the word serial entrepreneur one more time, I was going to kill myself because it was all about speculation. I think we're kind of in that space now. So you want to make a lot of money on AI. It's that same thing. It's going to be big. But what's the FANG trade going to be? I think the big guys are going to win on this. I think the big guys get bigger. There'll be some dude in his basement that comes up with some kind of code that becomes a billionaire. But by and large, I think it's the big trade.
Well, and if that guy in his garage does come up with it, one of the big guys will just buy him out. Out. They'll buy him out.
That happened in the internet a lot.
So, I mean, it's an interesting question.
In the .com boom.
And we kind of, we do have some precedents because we now have different AI generators, and they're fascinating.
Yeah.
And terrifying and exciting and exhilarating. It's just, I'm an optimist. But again, I've watched a lot of sci-fi movies over the years. So
you know how it ends.
I've watched a lot of sci-fi movies, so I'm qualified to talk about
I'm telling you, there's a future dystopia just waiting right around the corner.
You, man.
And I, for one, support our AI overlords.
Well, it's interesting. I was reading about AI, and the projections are that AI will become more intelligent than us within the next 10 years. Now, if that's true,
no question.
If that's true, that they will exceed our intelligence, how do we stop them? That's the risk.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah,
they'll trick you into building whatever they want you to build until they have their own hands, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's be smart. No, look, there's no question that if you want to talk about the scary stuff, the smartest intelligence will become the dominant species on the planet. Right.
Yeah.
There's just no question. I mean, look how dumb human beings are by nature, and we're running the place.
Yeah. Right. But then you could look at it from the standpoint of, if AI is that intelligent, how do they get rid of humans? Don't they need humans to do? I mean,
have you not seen The Matrix?
Yeah. So I
got like a top 10 list of movies we can watch.
Hey, we've seen the whole trilogy. Is it a trilogy or a dilogy or a trilogy, dialogy? What's two? Sequel.
Yeah. Right.
So
and you got the trilogy as the third.
What's the second one called? Just a sequel?
A sequel.
There's not a dyad or...
I think it's called a money grab, because the first one was good, the second one was not that
Rocky
good, and the third one was just, let's try to make some money.
Rocky 3 was okay. 4, 5 was rough.
5 was rough. Everything beyond 4. I liked Rocky battling the Russian. That's 4.
I must break you.
That was peak Rocky.
Yeah.
He ended the Cold War.
Yeah.
If I can get along.
Yeah. If you all hated me,
if you guys can change.
If you guys can
change, I could change.
We all could change. Better have us two hidden in 2 whole nations.
Now I need a workout montage. Let's go.
Okay, so top 10. Let's get the topic. Top 10. So in the Mentor Club.
Yes.
If you're not in the Mentor Club, learn how to get in.
You need to be in the Mentor Club.
So in the Mentor Club, Noah says we're going to look at the top 10 AI stocks according to AI. So the list will change a little bit. But what were those stocks? What they say? It's going to have Amazon and Google.
I've asked it the same question just 2 weeks apart, and I've gotten different answers.
Have you?
Yes.
So it's getting smarter all the time.
But I did kind of rank order them in a similar. This is the one it just gave me. It was NVIDIA number 1. And then AMD number 2, but the last list had Microsoft at number 2.
Huh.
Yeah, Microsoft, Alphabet, which is Google.
Yeah.
Palantir made the list this time, and it didn't make the list last time. Tesla made the list last time, not this time.
Interesting.
And
Apple on there at all?
It was on the first list. Now it's at the bottom of this. No, it's not. So I'm getting different lists from the same ChatGPT, AI.
Talk about the government one, because that's one people aren't familiar with.
Palantir, which I believe was a DARPA initiative with facial recognition that was developed during the war in Afghanistan. That they've now gone public, and they're using the face recognition software all over the place. IBM's on the list. Snowflake is on the list. Super Microcomputer, which is SMCI, and App Lovin'.
Snow was on the list.
That sounds like McLovin, but
Buffett
App Lovin'.
Snow.
Yeah. Berkshire
pre-IPO
bought some Snowflake. Dell, I'm surprised Dell's not on the list. There's been a lot of news recently about Dell has partnered with NVIDIA for multiple decades, and now they are in the process of building a huge facility for Tesla and for some of those other corporations in Texas. All AI related. So Dell, when you look at their stock charts, I mean, you can see who is getting the lion's share of the excitement. Like NVIDIA has just been on a tear. It's now a $3 trillion market cap, right? And so NVIDIA is obviously going to be at the top probably of any list for a while. But Dell, kind of the same thing. That stock went from $40 a share up to $140 a share in the last short period of time. So you can kind of see it in the charts. It tells a story about who the market anyway is most excited about.
So you're
What about
saying we're going to be rich.
Well, the derivative of the AI trade, I think, is what's really interesting. The multiple derivatives of it going forwards and backwards. For example, you have AI in the middle. I remember when you had RCA and you had Sony was huge in electronics, and everyone says, "Oh, Japan." Everything was made in Japan. Remember when Japan was like leading with technology all the time? I don't know if Mitsubishi is Japanese, but all these Japanese companies are making VCRs and laser discs, and making compact disc players, and they're going to take over the world. It's like, no, it's the artists, it's the movies, it's the people making the videos. Okay, you make an iPhone, great, but you make an app for the iPhone, even better. So it's not just the AI company. It's software and hardware, right?
Yeah.
And what can you make with that software, and what can you do with that AI? There's going to be a lot of opportunity there. Then you go backwards from AI and think, okay, what does AI need? Well, it needs electricity. It needs chips. That's why I think the chip makers are on there.
Yep.
It needs hardware. It needs software. So that stuff's going to continue to do very, very well. But then you also think, I think it helps business in general. It's kind of tough because it always seems to be different. Technology does replace jobs, but it creates a lot too. And it's kind of hard to know how that's going to happen because AI really replaces people.
Yeah.
The internet, comes out in 1993 and the travel agents are toast. You have a few high-end travel people that, you're too lazy to book your own stuff. You call the high-end vacation person and books all your travel. But most people just go to delta.com and get a flight now. So the internet did do some of that. But I think AI, man, it's going to replace me in a while.
Have you heard AI try to tell jokes?
It's pretty well.
So I think my job is safe here.
It's
for now.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the first thing AI does is like they're going to use our sense of humor against us, right? I mean, something like that. But no,
I know what you're saying in terms of there's a lot of areas in the world that are going to be replaced by AI.
Yeah.
But then what other jobs does it create where
So
there
many.
where there weren't where there
So
there might
many.
be entirely new industries or new things that are
For sure.
actually needed to basically enhance the AI. And what's interesting about AI, I mean, it has the ability to do all of the things that we need done, like plan, I mean,
Just
all of these
faster.
things, and it can just do all of that for you. It's like your personal planner, where all of that, I mean, can be shrunk down to where it used to take you X amount of time to do these emails and this and that, and now it can whip all of that out in 30 minutes, So it can really, really improve your time.
If you have the NVIDIA chip, you can do it in 20 minutes.
That's
right. Well,
But I mean, that's where we're going, is it's going to speed up everything. And so the industries where there's a lot of people doing a lot of technology things that it can replace. I mean, I'm thinking of the financial sector. That's the one that comes to my brain as far as.
Let's talk about that.
I think there's not a sector that will be untouched.
Yeah,
it's going to be the
for
financial
sure.
sector. It's
All
going to be
of
the
it.
healthcare sector. It's
But
going to
the
be
financial
For sure, but
sector-
think
Agriculture
about
and
all of
industry.
these sectors where, I mean, if it can replace so much in accounting, so much in, I mean, just in customer support, where you're not
Your
going to be talking to
efficiencies.
somebody, you're going to be punching into their AI tool what you want done, and it's going to do it for you in a matter of seconds, and you're done. And
Your
there was no
frustration
human
level,
being.
Your
Yeah.
frustration level, though, when it gets it wrong. I mean, isn't it interesting how you do chat GDP for the first time? You're like, are you freaking kidding me? This is incredible. But then isn't it interesting how quick that novelty wears off and you're expecting it to get stuff right?
Right.
Well, you idiot. Why can't you get this
I
right?
actually do type those things into the.
So
I'm
I
trying not to
argue
make
with
enemies
it.
with it, but
I
I'm like, you're not
argue with
doing
it.
your best work here.
I'll tell you what I've
Stern,
noticed.
but kind.
What's scary about it is there's a ton of PC programmed into that stuff, because I'll try to give it dilemmas where you're looking at truth versus offending people, and I'll ask what's your priority, truth or offending, and it will just,
as an AI,
as an
large
AI
language model generator.
And you could already recognize the stuff that's written in AI. It's crucial to everything is crucial with those guys. Its use of lost performatives is incredible, but it just takes how people talk and try to talk it out. But I'll give you an example. I don't trust it to trade yet.
Oh no.
So my son got invited to this really cool basketball tournament called Section 7. It's in Phoenix. It's probably the largest high school tournament going on. Really, really good stuff. And so I thought, I'm going to see who it predicts the first round win, because all the teams are on the net, everything. And I said, tell me who's going to win. Give me the matchups head to head. Say, who do you think the starting five will be from each based on the data on each team? What's the head-to-head matchup and who's going to win? And it was a catastrophe. You couldn't even figure that out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it doesn't have the ability. If it can't figure out, like they had kids from last year and they couldn't figure out when they graduated, and they couldn't figure out who was on what team, and some of the kids got put on the other team, and it was a mess. And I just kept messing with it, thinking, I'm not using this to trade, right? I'm not using this to trade. Now, that said, it's going to get there. Now, let's talk about that financial sector. What percent of transactions on the New York Stock Exchange, what percent do you think are automated already? It's got to be 90.
The
majority. I think it's at least 80%.
Yeah, it's the vast majority. And the average trade is in nanoseconds, I believe.
It's flash boys.
It's high-frequency trading. Yeah. And that style of trading, I mean, that's where AI would be competing.
That's where Jim Simons is a stud.
Yeah.
Because he's the guy, everyone was talking the random walk, and the market is built in, and you can't beat it, and Jim Simon was like, no, the late Jim.
Yeah.
He just passed away last month, wasn't it?
Yeah, his returns were incredible.
60% a year forever.
But there is a certain, I've never been a fan of the high frequency trading. Like, I have a hard time cheering them on because there's no substance. Yeah. They're not investing in businesses.
It's like Munger. I have a quote on my wall from Munger, and it talks about, if all you ever do is get rich by buying, and selling little pieces of paper, it's a failed life.
Yeah.
Life is much more in wealth accumulation. If you go to the Berkshire meeting, they're really proud of who they serve and what they do. And, on the Cashflow Jack in the Box, where it is on the shelf, the crank is the most important thing. Nothing happens without it. Yeah. And that represents the work that is done by these companies. And AI can't take away all that work. But the high frequency trading, of all the industries that have embraced automation, I think finance is really done it the most.
Yeah.
And the amount of terabytes that is being used to try to predict an algorithm and trade, it's already there before AI.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to matter one iota to me, and here's why. I don't feel like I'm competing against it, because
we're not,
that's a false scenario. In fact, we'll talk about that when we come back from break.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. We're going to talk about can you and I compete against this top 10 list that AI has, and can we do better than that top 10 list? I'm going to do spoiler and say I think we can, but we'll say why when we come back from the break.
Really, I think anybody can follow Andy's steps to learn this. He made everything so easy. You can actually ask real-time questions with them and get real-time answers. There's so many different trading platforms. They will take the time and be able to show you how to use whichever platform you're on.
I've just really enjoyed how they have taken what could be complex material and really made it simple to understand. Learned how to take some of the complex trading strategies and produce cash flow. They really go beyond just trading stocks. They really make it about lifestyle to make yourself the best person you can be. Everybody that's an expert started out as a novice. You got to start somewhere.
Okay, welcome back to the Cashflow Academy podcast. I'm Andy Tanner, and this is where we make investing simple. We're talking about the top 10 AI picks according to AI. So it's stuff you'd have picked anyway, a lot of them.
I probably could have come up with a comparative list all on my own.
Oh, yeah.
Just by thinking about it for like 5 minutes.
So
I already disagree with it. So
I already do too. Yeah.
you know what and see I learned this on another podcast we did. It's called prompt engineering. That's the skill, right?
Yeah.
Learning to ask it the right questions in a way it can understand it. It's kind of like talking to your kid. You got to figure out how to get through.
Yeah.
And
then all they're taking the information that's on the internet
they're regurgitating.
Yeah, they're just saying, okay, well, this is what's circulating out there, and these are what the popular names are. And so, like you talked about, the list has changed. Well, it's changed because the input that it's getting is saying, oh, well, here's a new article that came out talking about this company.
Yeah.
And it latched onto that, and it said, okay, well, this must be an important one. So it's not thinking for itself.
Unless you are, like I was looking at their website because my kid kind of is interested in hedge funds and stuff. Yeah. And I was looking at their website, and they were bragging about how many, Simon's a fund, and it's closed fund. You can't buy into it. But they brag about the amount of terabytes they go through every day, and that's legit. That's high-level, insane stuff. But I'm not competing with that because no matter what technology you have, stocks can go up, down, and sideways.
Yeah.
And, as a technical analyst and as a risk manager and as an option trader, it's up, down, and sideways. And the causation of that is irrelevant to me. I can ride an AI trend as much as fight against one. I mean, it really doesn't matter to me why it went up, down, and sideways. It just matters that it's going up, down, and sideways, and that it pays a dividend as a business. So I just don't feel like, how are you going to compete against this? The other thing is I was speaking with this guy from Wharton. He's a PhD guy, smarter than me. And, his specialty is this prompt engineering. He says, you're going to need more. I says, it looks like I'm going to be obsolete. No one needs to have any financial education anymore. So I guess I'll just go retire and be done. And Ashley says quite the opposite, because the ability to write prompts that are useful and to break things down into pieces. For example, as we've looked at integrating AI into the Cashflow Academy and what we do, which we're doing, by the way, you have to. It's be like saying, we're not going to use the internet. We're going to call our broker to place the trade. Yeah. That's silly. So we'll embrace it in our search tools. We'll embrace it in how we use it. But the truth of the matter is, if you say, like, you go, give me the top 10 stocks, AI stocks. And I say, well, tell me what you think this list would be in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and if you gave it different prompts, like if I said, give me the top 10 fundamental stocks, or if I said, give me the top 10 trending stocks, I'd get a different set of results.
And we already have the ability to find patterns. I mean, you can already run a search for...
We do screeners,
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. There's a special gift that human beings have. We are supreme pattern recognizers.
Yeah, very much.
We are so good at pattern recognition that we even see patterns where they're not supposed to be. That's called apophenia.
What's it called again?
Apophenia.
I have that happen all the time to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's how I connect the dots and can come to the conclusion that the Illuminati is controlling everything. We can just do that. I know, but pattern recognition it's one of our supercognition skills. We do it automatically. And I think as a trader versus an investor, I'm going to look at the fundamentals. I'm going to look at the trends in the marketplace. I'm going to look at the competition, and we're going to make decisions slowly and methodically. As a trader, I don't want to compete on the day trading market. That's just not for me. I'm not going to compete against the machines, the high frequency traders.
Yeah.
But if I back it out a time frame and just look at it from a swing to position trade position, I can very easily approach the markets with pattern recognition, and people using algorithms these days to do
For
that
sure.
and to
It's
assist
good at
it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, its outcome's still unknown because not even the AI can predict the future.
It's with precision. Now, Jim Simons proved that it could do it at a rate where it could make money, where the probabilities, but it's never going to be perfect. But the thing about prompt engineering is you can't go to AI and be broad. You can't go and just say, okay, find me a stock that's going to make me $1 billion.
Yeah.
Like, there's not an answer to that, right? You can't just magically, find that broadness. But if you have a financial education, for example, if you understand fundamentals and then the intricacies in fundamentals and technicals and, the cash flow pillar of all the different types of trades, then I think you can begin to interact with AI more intelligently. You can ask it better questions, communicate better, and I think that's where your advantage is.
Exactly. And then with that prompt, you can get to what you're looking for. So AI is going to, down the road, be able to say, we'll be able to go to it and say, okay, I want a company that's growing its revenues at 20+%. I want its earnings to have expanded at 50%. I want it to be operating in this industry. Show me the names, And we already do that to a certain extent with screeners, but I think it will take it to the next level. It'll just continue to expand and give you the ability, but it's still going to be you that has to put in those intelligent prompts, right? If you just say, well, tell me the stock that's going to make me the next billionaire, it's going to regurgitate something that's going to have been the thing that just went up that could have made you a billionaire in the past.
You asked, it'll be late to the game. It'll be a lagging indicator.
Because I just asked it.
You asked it what's going to be the big bust, and it was an AI company.
Yeah, so we were screwing around before we started, and I said, what's going to be the next $1 billion, make me a billionaire? And it said NVIDIA. Well, NVIDIA has gone up hundreds of percent. It's gone from a couple $100 billion company to $3 trillion in a flash. Well, it could have made you a billionaire if you had got in on the IPO and so on. But that's why it's pulling up that name, is because, well, it could have done this, and it can rationalize it. It can say, well, here's how well that stock has done. So if you had done this, that's the answer it's giving you. But buying it here when it's a $3 trillion company is not going to make you a billionaire. You've missed the easy money, right? And that's I think where AI is at, is it's always going to be giving you the one that did it in the past.
Yeah.
Now, I asked it, well, which one's going to be the next big bust? And then it pulled up an AI company, C3 AI, and it said, here's why. And again, it had sources for both of these. And there were sources for why NVIDIA was going to be the next make you a billionaire company. And it was like Investopedia, and it had some sources. And then same thing with this C3 AI. The reason it was calling it a bust, it had a source there that had a really bearish argument about this. Mm-hmm. So it's regurgitating information that it's finding that way.
Our disclaimers are bigger than its disclaimers, but at the bottom it says double check. ChatGPT can be wrong. Check your information. So it's a ways away.
Yeah, the idea that you're going to be able to go to that and find stock picks that are going to make you millions of dollars is just not reality. It's not. It's
not magic.
There will never be anything. If it were that easy, everyone would do it, and of course, it can't work at that point, right? That's the whole point. I have a love-hate.
I went and had my whole redone smart house. If I had to do it over again, I wouldn't have done it because it's not very smart. Half that crap, my lights don't work, or they go on and off, or I'll sell it to do something doesn't understand. I mean, it's just, I overdid it for sure, way for sure. It's running everything, and therefore it's not running anything well. Yeah. And, I just should learn to freaking flip a light switch. It wasn't that hard, but it was cool to.
Why didn't you get the clapper?
Start with that, move up from there, But it's definitely something, it always comes back, I think, to learning more. I remember there was a lot of techno fright when the internet came on, of people afraid to learn, especially an older generation. Yeah. I was really proud of my dad because he embraced it. He took a class on MS-DOS. He started writing little programs, and even now, he's 87. He can't wait for the next, iPhone download. His Tesla. He loves his Tesla and all the stuff that upgrades and all the stuff. So some guys embrace it, like my dad. But I think other people, it's just gets so much to take in and so much to learn, and the learning curve's so steep. Well, you're ignorant at your own peril.
Well, I think they have a term for that. It's like early adopters. And you have people called late adopters, and there's somewhere there you got mass adaptation to it. Being an early adopter carries some risk, but I think it's fun. And it's interesting. And I'm not the world's greatest early adopter. I'm okay at it. I'm kind of a laggard, but I usually catch it before it hits peak. Yeah. And then, you start to catch that tail end of adoption. It's an interesting process. I think it's a tremendous learning tool.
So you're the first guy to get a Betamax.
Nope, I never bought a Betamax, but I did buy a laser disc. So
Did you really?
everything's
The
better
big
on a
one?
laser disc.
The big laser
yeah,
disc?
laser. Boom. Yeah, I still have
Oh
it.
my god! That's why he's watched all these Rocky movies. He's watching He's watching
the laser disc.
On the laser disc, man.
It's true. It is laser disc.
He's got the projection TV that's basically the big mirror thing. Remember that? And
Those were the best.
red,
The
the red, green, blue light, man. Oh, that's cool. I mean, the thing looked like, futuristic and stuff. So good, man. So good.
Good stuff. But it's a tremendous learning tool. Like it's phenomenal for helping me think through problems and questions. And I like to play argument.
I worry about the accuracy of it more.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. It's dogmatic. Like if you say, tell me whether a guy like Moser, right, is, tell him about MMT, right? And is MMT, well, it's crucial to understand that some people are going to say this, and it's a matter of opinion to say this, and it's just not going to tell you the truth. It doesn't know. It doesn't know yet.
Yeah, and you have to wonder who knows how that's programmed, and then who can manipulate the data that's going in because they know how it's programmed, right?
Yeah,
so
if anything,
if you want to feed the public with the information you want the public to believe, you feed the AI tool that information, right?
It's not going to be good at things you don't know how to do. It's going to be good at things you know how to do that are time consuming, that you don't want to do, and when it goes through, you can look at the result and tell whether it was a good result or bad.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I think
it's a worker bee.
It requires
it's not a thinker.
Intelligence to use artificial intelligence, because otherwise it misleads, lies.
Yeah.
It's actually figured out how to lie. Have you seen this?
No.
Yeah.
It knows how to lie now?
Like they've asked AI to fill out like CAPTCHA. And it's
really?
like I cannot, fill up CAPTCHAs. I'm like, well, I'm vision impaired.
Oh,
Could
boy.
you help me? And it came through and it used a logic process. It's like I can't tell it I'm a robot. It knows that it can't say that it's a robot, but to bypass it, it came up with that. It came up with that lie on its own. I am vision impaired.
Oh, it thought of that idea.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
that's crazy.
It's an interesting. And there's always
we know what
bias,
Noah's been doing at night instead of Netflix. Now he puts away the laser disc and he plays with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It's an entertaining thing to do, and I can tell you, I found some pretty tremendous flaws in it.
I'll tell you, some of the stuff that I like it for is if you have ingredients in your house and you're like, man, what could I make with this? And you punch in a few ingredients, it'll give you 10 different ideas.
Next
and you're like, hey, that sounds good.
We're cooking
and then
meth.
I go take the Ozempic, which was a podcast we talked about.
I'm sorry. You should have been more specific with the list of ingredients.
Yeah. I have some Ozempic in my house, and I also have some sugar and some salt. What can you make out of that?
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable. Hey, really important, though, for everyone. It's important to everyone have these discussions and decide if you want to be an early adopter. I think the danger of AI is laziness. I think that people want the Garden of Eden. They don't want to work. They want something for nothing. And when it comes to wealth, I just feel it's like gravity. I don't think you defy. I've never met anyone who really got rich. You got a few lottery winners, but generally gotten rich without being smarter.
Yeah.
And I think the person that looks at AI as a substitute for knowledge and intelligence and savvy and just in understanding investing principles, I think they do that at their peril. So we'll see. As always, go to yourinvestingclass.com and learn those principles. Learn how that stuff works. And we always have goodies there. Want to thank my guests, Noah Davidson and Corey Halliday. I love this team. We enjoy, we appreciate everyone's nice comments, and fan mail. I don't know if it's fan mail. It's more like, hey, question mail. We'll take all kinds of mail. So good stuff. You've been listening to the Cashflow Academy podcast. We'll see you next time.